Hailey, and I'm the host of Hailey's Comments. Hailey's Comments is a talk show about mental wellness. The purpose of this show is to open the conversation and get rid of that stigma and shame about mental illness. We are all in this together. Join us, won't you? Hello, you have tuned in to Hailey's Comments, our talk show about mental health. My name is Hailey. I'm 17 years old, and yes, I am a puppet. Because of that, I know what it's like to be seen as different, and I also have had my struggles with mental health as well. That's why I'm super excited to be learning all I can about mental illness and about recovery, and helping to spread the word that no one needs to be alone or ashamed in it. Although I'm a puppet, this show is no childish matter, as we speak very candidly with people who have been diagnosed with mental illness and those who work in the field. Our guest today is Daniel. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, it's Hailey.
Thanks for being here with me today.
Glad to be here.
Have you ever been diagnosed as having a mental illness?
I have, Hailey, for quite a long time.
When did that first start?
Well, it was quite a while ago. I estimate somewhere around 1969 or 70, maybe
Wow.
40 odd more years ago. And it sort of comes and goes as my understanding of having had it. But then it comes up at different times too, kind of thing sometimes. And it's pretty good and it's okay. Life is fine anyway, you know, so yeah, it's been there for quite a while, so I'm aware of it sometimes, and then it's not there at all for a lot of times.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Can you give us like a little summary of what happened 40 years ago?
Well, that's when there was quite a happening. I'll say I was just in Vancouver, living in beginning my university years, or for 3 semesters, and I was just out for a long drive in New West there, and I was just sort of following things that weren't there a little bit, right? Just inside yourself, what they call voices kind of thing, right? But then I got into a little bit of an accident with it because of not paying attention to the road and that kind of thing, I guess, and then it ended up being that I found myself in hospital for, well, quite a while, maybe 10 months or so, and there was no actual diagnosis. Just figured there was some kind of imbalances or chemistry was gone wrong or different things like this, right? So it was just for that time frame, but it's been almost half forgot now, because until it comes to me as a question from somebody like yourself, and it's well, I say some influence throughout my life, but a lot of times, like I say, I didn't even know it's there quite a lot.
Right.
So, and it means that there is always good things can always happen in spite of these things. You know, life is good anyway, and you can be fine in spite of what happens then. And when you get up to my more recent times,
Right.
there was little indicators, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing with us what you were diagnosed with?
Well, it was actually called Paranoid Schizophrenia. And there was a little bit of a sense of me that said, well, the paranoid came from the name a little bit, because you're just wondering, what is that?
so like when you heard the name, that made you paranoid.
Yeah,
Right.
There was that sense, and I thought, good gosh. But anyway, you just sort of dig into it, and then when you get more understanding through your own research, even digging into it and finding out what's kind of behind it, even in the chemistry and things, as well, the psychological and otherwise, and things that can help make difference, like spirituality and different things that make a big difference.
So you really did some research.
Yes, I dug into it, and very physically, very mentally, and just
like finding out how the brain works and stuff.
Yeah, with some detail in the anatomy, and what are areas that you might call, well, you can call it the mind, which is in the brain they're working. It's not something you can put your hand on. You can touch your head and say your brain's in there, but the mind, where is that? You know, it's part of your thinking a lot, and your heart and soul and other things like that as well. Yep.
Your heart and soul, and you said like you researched the psychological and also the spiritual. What does the word spiritual mean?
Well, there's quite a lot can go into that. It's almost a kind of a guiding manner of life in a way for your heart, mind, and soul. It contains a lot of other areas. I don't want to say religion necessarily, but spiritual encompasses all areas, everywhere. Faith of all kinds, and even no faith at all, per se. Because it includes some wonderful areas which you could go on extensively about, like compassion, love, and kindness, and generosity, and patience, and gracefulness, and forgiveness, and just areas that have a lot in them that carry a lot of very good helps and understandings for others and for oneself, especially when you're receiving some of these things that come to you from others. In that
Those are
same
nice
way.
words.
Yeah, yeah.
And I heard that spirituality also kind of means like finding a deeper purpose in life.
Yes, yeah, it's called, well, I've heard a title called Man's Search for Meaning. And that was the name of a whole book, and I forget the author, but anyway, it's just a matter of digging in all detail, mentally, physically, and spiritually, in ways that just really bring a fulfillment in yourself and for others, you know. It's a good encouraging manner to it there, Hailey, because it helps you grow in really some all-encompassing manners, you know.
So you
ways.
researched about how the mind works and also that spiritual stuff,
Yep.
bigger purposes in life. What did you find that was helpful for you?
Well, Hailey, I found that it sure gives you a sense of like a guiding light or a sense of wellness. It takes you out of assuming an illness, even though your body may have an illness, like getting diabetes or other kinds of illnesses that are very physical.
Right.
Right. This is something that you can't put your hand on, or the surgeon can't dig into something and say, well, there's the mental area.
Right.
You know, but it's just something that comes from understanding, you know, what it's about and what it can do for you and what it has done for you in the past, different things that might have been traumatic and difficult, or I don't want to say threatening, but maybe they could if you sort of wander away and this kind of thing, or get lost. But it seems to have also a way of being found again, you know. It has that manner of being profound, if you like, you know. Yeah, which means that you're digging in some more, very well, and things like that. Even in the chemistry and biology and physics of some of these things, you know.
Right.
You can dig into a very, very physical side of it with science, because that's a way of discovery in a very tangible way.
That's so
very
interesting
detailed,
to
some
me.
of it.
I'm digging in a little bit by doing the show and talking to you and lots of other people about people's experience, and that helps me learn about myself too. So what kind of things have been most important for you in your recovery?
Well, just realizing that there is always help for everything, including mental illness.
What kind of help have you gotten?
Well, support comes from many areas, from your family, from friends, from, I'm going to call them sort of institutional helps that come from even governments, and what do you call it, medical helps, and places that I go every day on a basis of day-to-day living for meals and for activities and other things like that. I could mention some of the places on a daily basis, like the Beacon Club in this place where I live, and just downtown when you're with people in coffee shops or shopping even, and at gatherings. I just had a gathering last night, and it was very much all these kind of things, we're singing and other things like that, which were very good.
It sounds like
Yeah.
being connected with other people is what you're saying is super important.
Yes, like being friendly, if not very friendly, and finding that everybody is also in this manner, even they've had their traumas of different things and whatnot too, and you can compare notes, if you like,
Right.
between people, and you find answers by do this for yourself. They share their experiences, you share your experiences, and you find lots of solutions. Even in your science, you're doing that. If you're digging into it in very psychologically or even psychiatrically, because even some of these professionals have had these struggles with mental illnesses and things. I read about them in some books and otherwise that I've found.
Maybe that's what's encouraged them to study it more and become those professionals.
That's right, to find out why. That's what I found myself doing, digging into what is this, what does that schizophrenia mean? What is the detail, what is the science of it, what is the medical understanding of it, And you can ask the doctor and they'll give you some details and they'll give you some helps, maybe medications and things that can be helpful, and they explore it with a lot of detail, like using a microscope to look at things in very tiny when you're investigating in science. So I took a lot of biology, so that's what I use quite a bit sometimes there when I was at university.
And do you take medication now, Daniel?
I take one very small amount. There have been larger amounts sometimes, just depending. When at the very beginning there was, but it got sort of difficult sometimes eventually, but eventually they would be gone. And for long periods of my life, I didn't have any, but now I'm just on one little bit, because I realized the chemistry, there's what are called catalysts, which help facilitate the chemistry of the body and going from one molecule to another. They have these catalyst
I've
manners.
heard that word before. It's like something that sparks off
That's right.
a process.
And assists the process.
Right.
The reaction or
And so you take medication to just kind of keep it in check.
Yes, it's part of that. And you go with a doctor on that, and it can be something in other things that you even get on a daily shelf that you get in a store. Because all prescriptions in the beginning came from what are called the plant sources quite a bit, and what are called herbs. Right. So they've been extracted through the pharmaceutical industries over a long time, many decades or centuries, that they got them into the what do you call it, the active part of the prescription that's being used to make a difference to your internal chemistry of the brain.
You sound like a scientist. I can tell you've studied a lot.
I spent quite a bit of time studying these at Simon Fraser for 7 years, off and on a little bit.
You know what it sounds like I hear from you is that even though you have a mental illness diagnosis, it hasn't taken over your whole life, but that you're always kind of knowing you got to keep aware of it and, make sure it's under control. Is that right?
Yes, that's very important. And to listen to what others are saying for you, because those helps are there and they're making suggestions and you're hearing them. And it's good to follow what others suggest, because you find out an answer that you might not have had before, so it just makes a difference.
Oh, so that's like another reason for staying connected with people.
Yes, the more connected, the more you're out of yourself and just sort of dealing with your own thoughts and internals,
right?
Which are okay, but when you're drawn out of yourself, then you feel much better. You can do so, or even just getting out for a walk or going somewhere, doing some of the things that we do on a daily basis or kind of thing, right? And you can live a long time just I can see, I should mention my father. He's been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a place called Quadra, and he's just about the oldest person on the island. So if he's had struggles like this too, he remember telling me. And he lived a long life in spite of these things. So I know there's solutions.
Right.
There's no way you have to lose faith or not find yourself able to deal with it, because you can. Answers come from amazing places.
When you stay open and aware and willing and connected.
Yes, yeah. And do what I call also being grounded.
Grounded.
Yeah, which is a sense of working with what is, being in the here and now, like what's happening at the time that you're where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And things like sort of non-taking of things helps, like meditation and other can help you ground yourself in quietness and stillness and things which are very valuable. There's very many areas that can help you with detail on these types of institutions, like holistic ones and others, which do a lot for exploring and helping you maintain a happy and well psychological mind, heart and soul, if you like, Yeah.
Have you felt affected by the stigma about mental illness?
The stigma? Well, when I first heard that name, or I first discovered it when the psychiatrist stepped out and I looked over the page that he'd written, and it said schizophrenia, and I said, what kind of a 10-headed monster is that? That's a paranoia a little bit,
Right.
So I thought, well, let's just dig into it and find out, And you found out that, as you can't say it's nothing, so you just keep digging until you get something that makes sense to you again, and you go from there. And
do you worry about what other people might think?
Well, no, because people are going to think whatever they think. So you just kind of, well, you might ask them suggestions. Have you had this experience yourself, based on some details I might give them that I thought was part of it, as I remember it being for quite a bit sometimes.
That sounds so healthy, not to worry about what other people think.
Oh yeah.
Because we just make it up in our mind anyway, what we think they think, right?
Oh yeah. You can go into quite a manner there, and you realize that people are going to think whatever kind of thing, and all kinds of wonders too, but you can explore each other's thinking or each other's spirituality or concepts of what these are and their meaning,
So you just keep living your life and having your experiences and finding the things that are right and feel good for you anyway.
Yeah, because it keeps improving on it, and the exploration can get deeper and even more better for you.
And it stops you from feeling like ashamed too. Then you can grow and explore instead of feeling
instead
isolated.
of cringing or something,
Yeah.
just sort of wanting to back away from something, but there's nothing to back away from.
Oh, that's so inspiring, Daniel. Thank you for that. I see you as focusing on mental wellness instead of mental illness.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, like you're broken out of the shell, like a cocoon, what do you call a caterpillar breaking out of a cocoon, becoming a butterfly, right?
Wow.
Or a flower budding from a bud and becoming a flower.
Right.
That's the breakout, if you like, so that you're living in wellness. That's your life.
That makes me feel so excited.
Yeah.
What inspired you to do this interview with me today?
Well, Hailey, I wanted to let others know that there is no problem with it, because there is solutions and answers and suggestions and helps in all elements of the community, in their education, in the schools, and in the wherever you go, even amongst your friends. You can let them know about your own personal experiences with this, and that helps them with whatever they're undergoing.
Right.
You're sharing your experiences so that you can have hope, strength, and experience with it, and be able to carry on in just a day-to-day living, if you like, to be able to do the things you like to do, go out and play and with the other people of your age or younger or older, you know, because at any age you can have these experiences or events or struggles, you know, and you share those, and it helps them, give them hope and feeling of that everything is okay anyway, in spite of diagnosis of whatever you get.
Wow.
You know, even physical diagnosis of various kinds.
So if someone listening has been given a diagnosis of schizophrenia or any other mental illness and they're scared about that, is there anything else that you would want to tell them?
There's nothing that can't be overcome. Yeah, with enough just digging into it, hearing what others know about it, hearing what your doctor and others have to say about it, psychiatrists, and even, I'm going to say people from other areas of profession, like psychiatrists and even people in various directions of spirituality, you know, be it the sort of names of Buddhism, Christianity, and different things like these, but they're not really religions, they're just spiritualities that everybody has some of some kind. Even if they have no faith at all, they got something of a basis for their life and beginnings and otherwise. I've been brought up in these because I was brought up in churches and other things quite a bit. It's part of the community. I'm sure people are aware of these.
And could a person with a diagnosis become successful in business or anything else they want in life?
Yeah. Oh yeah, because there's even some psychiatrists have had those experiences themselves, and they dug into it, and so they became the people they did, even in spite of their illnesses. But it got them into digging to what made some differences in answers and helps in their everyday life. If you
so
like.
I'm thinking what you'd want to say to someone is, don't be afraid, explore, learn, share, connect with people, and know that there's always hope, and focus on what you can do rather than what you can't do.
Yes, yeah. Just be really right there with everything that is a part of you, and that you'd like to share with others and be with others on, and care for everybody that you have. Always have a caring attitude, or even an attitude of gratitude, if you like. You know, these are things that all help in your sense of inner happiness and well-being and soulfulness. You know, when you hear heart and soul and different songs, you hear these things in music a lot too. That's very helpful. You know, very good music and different music, whether it's from even rock and roll or symphonies and various other kinds of forms of music and plays that you have, and literature as well. I did a lot of literature, but I was mostly in sciences, but literatures can be very revealing.
It's about sharing our experience, sharing our humanity.
Yes.
And mental illness doesn't set us apart from any of that.
No, evermore included.
Daniel, you're a prime example to me of the difference it makes to be working on wellness rather than focusing on illness, to look at what you can do, and to accept things as they are, and learn and take positive action, and enjoy the experience of being alive no matter what.
Yes, Hailey, that's true, because that's what we like to do. We like to live life well, and feel that we're doing a good job with others, working with others, with ourselves, in our conversations and in our daily experiences, in our workplace, whether you're working on hard labor or sort of everyday, I don't know, kitchens, or working in hospitals or factories, or in the forestry, or any other kind of working, drivers and that are on transports and things, or boats, or any working manner that people are doing in day to day. You know, even doing things, running these things like studios and things, all the networks, they have a lot of people working in them, so that's allows things to function. Yeah.
Daniel, thanks for coming to join me today. And to you at home, if you or someone you love is struggling with mental health issues, please know that you're not alone, that there is support and there's hope. And for more information, see the contact numbers in the credits coming up just in a moment. Thank you so much. Hailey signing out.